Hi everybody, it's Naomi, food and health coach. I am here answering a question that I received from one of you, and it is a question I receive often from my clients, from anybody that I'm talking to casually. This question usually always comes up. Especially because I've been on my health and wellness journey now for about 5 years, right? So they always ask. And I wrote it down because I really had to pause and think about it because we want a quick answer all the time, right? Like, what is it? The question is, how do you stay consistent long term? Starting is easy, but keeping up is hard. Keeping it up is hard, right? And I feel y'all. I know. I understand. And usually we want such a quick answer or like the secret, like, oh, just do this and it'll help you be consistent. Or think about that and it'll help you be consistent. And I think it's also something that it depends on the person. Like everybody has their own strategy. So I'm just going to share what it has been for me. And I had to write it down because I could pinpoint certain things that did help me or does help me stay consistent, right? Because as we're going to get into it, right? It's not just a one and done. It's not just like one day you decide that you're going to be consistent and that's it. It's going to stay like that. It's consistent work. It's constant work. And this is why we say is a journey. And I always say is a journey for the rest of your life if that's what you choose. Because until you pass away, like, at least for me, I want to maintain my health. I want to maintain my vitality. I want to just be in good health to keep doing the things that I want to do, right? In good physical shape, in good mental shape, to be able to keep living my life to the fullest and the best I can and not really have to be tied down by consequences of my choices that I am making now. So in thinking about it and looking back and piecing all these pieces together of what I've actually done, I came up with like a little flow chart of what it looks like for me, right? This is my perspective and it might align with other people's, but this is how I have created the habit of consistency for me when it comes to I guess exercise and eating and other things. Wellness has many different avenues, right? So I'm not consistent in all of them. It actually takes work. Like I don't meditate every day. Sometimes I don't have a dedicated practice where I'm quiet. Although I try and incorporate it in other ways into my life, it doesn't look like what other people say they do, right? Like I don't sit in a corner and meditate. I wish I could every single day, but it just does not happen for me that way. And that's okay. Like I try and navigate myself as best I can in those wellness avenues that are just not really solidified for myself yet. So in staying consistent, right? You always have a goal. There's always a goal in mind, right? Because if not, then you wouldn't be doing it, right? What's the point if you're not, if you don't have a goal? So you either have a goal or a desire of some sort for your health and wellness. So whether it is you want to lose weight or you want to improve your health because you've been getting warnings at the doctor, or you're not feeling well, you feel like you have low energy. There's always some sort of goal or desire that you have. So let's start with that. What is that for you? And what is it for you specifically? Like not somebody else's goal, not what you think your goal is. Like really come up with what your goal and your intention is for what it is that you want to stay consistent on, right? So let's say it's you want exercise, right? And another thing with this is When we try and do so many things at one time, it gets overwhelming. It's not that something's wrong with you, it's that it is overwhelming if you're trying to incorporate so many things at one time that are new to you. So maybe you want to pick one thing. Maybe it is not working out 7 times a day and changing your nutrition, right? Because you have other stuff going on too. Maybe you're a mom, you have a full-time job, all these things. If it's a new habit, it's going to be overwhelming, right? So try and pick one thing. In my journey, I started out with exercise. It just happened to work out that way, right? So that it was exercise. So let's go with that. I want to be consistent with exercise. Now, in going with that, don't tell yourself, I'm going to work out 7 days a week, right? That's also a long stretch because you're going from 0 to 100. You're going out from not working out at all to like working out 7 days a week, right? So let's say 3 days a week is good. Okay, so you pick your goal and you're like, I want to work out, I want to lose weight, so I'm going to go and work out 3 days a week. Now, when it comes down to that, you have choices, right? You have your goal and then you have a choice when it comes down to make a decision, which is the next part. Let's say that you wake up and you're like, okay, tomorrow or the day before, you're like, okay, tomorrow I'm going to work out. Okay. And then tomorrow comes, right? Your goal is that you want to lose weight and you want to work out. Then you make a decision that you're going to work out tomorrow. Now, when you wake up, you're going to have to make a choice. Are you going to stay sleeping in bed? Or are you going to go and work out like you said you were? These are your choices, right? So now that leads to an action. What's going to be your action? Are you going to stay in bed or are you going to go actually work out? So what happens with all of this is that you do it, like the person said, starting out is easy, but keeping up is hard. So let's say you do it for a month and you get up and you go, and then it starts to get hard. This is where I want you to tap into what you're actually feeling. And I don't mean what you're feeling right now. I mean what the future feeling is. Because rarely do we feel like working out, like going to go do what you said you were going to do for your goal. And then we start to back out on ourselves. So I don't want you to think of the feeling now. I want you to think of the feeling of how you feel afterwards. And that's what started to help me, because I realized, and give yourself some grace of trying to figure out what this is for you. Because you're not going to know what those feelings are what those future feelings are until you make a few choices in both directions. And I'll give you an example. When I started my journey, I would go to the gym. Again, I was going to the gym 1 time a week, just Saturday mornings. That's all I had time for. I had 2 little babies at home and I was freaking tired. And I didn't really want to wake up to go to the gym. I mean, I did, but then I didn't. I had the 2 choices. I also wanted to stay in bed because I was tired. So once I started going a few times, I was like, wow, I feel really good after, right? This future feeling. I feel really good. I have more patience with my kids. I'm happier. I am like in such a good mood. Even though I was tired when I was waking up, I feel nothing but energized right now. And that's what I started to notice. And I would go out and I would go about my day. We would run our errands. We would do what we had to do, like gatherings with friends. And I was fine and I felt great. And then when I was very new into my journey, there were days where I didn't go. And I would wake up and I would say, I started my journey in November. And I'd be like, oh, it's so cold. Like it looks really cold outside. Oh, it's snowing. Oh my God, it's still so dark. I just want to stay. And guess what? I made that choice a few times. I just went back to bed. And then what was the after feeling of that? I felt annoyed with myself. I felt angry. I didn't have as much patience. And what I started to notice, it wasn't just the part about working out because of my end goal, which was that I wanted to lose weight. It was the feeling that I got after I did that. Forget the weight loss. Forget the weight loss. It was that other feeling that I craved, that when I went, I felt energized. I was more patient. I noticed how much happier I was. And also the community was awesome. Like, because I would go to a group class, and I still do that now, thank goodness, of the opportunity, because that kind of serves to me as a reset, right? So that's the feeling that I want you to connect to, and that helps you stay consistent as time goes on. And forget about that. Forget about like, how do I, looking for something, how do I stay consistent? How do I stay consistent? Take small actions that will help you get there. And don't think about it too much. Just make the decision and make it easy for yourself. So for example, something I do is I leave my gym clothes in the bathroom for the night before. That way I'm not rummaging through the drawers. I get to sleep in for an extra like 1 minute. I'm not bothering anybody, right? Making noise. It's just there, and it's just easy because I brush my teeth and I get dressed, right? And then I'm ready to go. I just leave everything ready so that I don't have to think about it too much. And then you just take action. You wake up, you brush your teeth, you get dressed, you leave. And by the time you're done with all of that, or you get your workout in your home, whatever you want to do. And by the time you're done with all of that, you've done it already. You've done it. So it's that consistent after like the honeymoon period is done, like, oh my God, I'm doing this for myself. And when your feet start to drag, you go back to what was that goal? What was that goal? How was your desire to stay consistent with that goal? With yourself, with what you promised yourself. And then just doing it little by little, small steps at a time. And also then it's like cutting grace for yourself when you just really need the sleep, and that's okay. But then you're making a decision, right? You have your choices, you make your decision, and then you need to be okay with the decision. You cannot go beating yourself up the rest of the day like, oh, I should have gone to the gym, I should have woken up, I should have, because that's not helping anything. It's already done. You made the decision and you didn't go, or you didn't do the workout, because a lot of times you don't get another opportunity in that day because it gets so busy. You have stuff to do. You probably have children. Like the day takes over. So for me, it has always worked best to, especially if it's the weekend thing, to just do it in the morning. Or if you're doing it during the week, doing it before you get home. Getting the workout in before you get home, because that way you're so freaking tired by the time you get home. You probably have to make something to eat. You have to take care of the kids, the homework, this and that, and you just want to rest. So when I would work out after work, I would just do it, or in the afternoon, I would just do it before I got home. Because that way it was done. I was already in the swing of things. Sometimes I would do it during lunchtime, during my lunchtime break, or like right after work. I would just go to a class right after work. So in staying consistent, stop searching for what that is. Stop searching for it. Connect to the feeling, the future feeling, not the feeling right now, because that feeling is always going to tell you that you need to go do something else. But the feeling afterwards, after you already started, is like, oh, I like this. I like how this feels. I like the energy that it gives me. I like that I am starting to feel stronger. And then it just becomes what you do, right? So for example, work, like sometimes you don't really like it, but it's just what you do. You just go and you get it done, because at the end you're going to get a paycheck. There's a return on the investment for your time. So think about it the same way. If you're making choices for your health and wellness, you will be getting a return. You just have to pay attention to what that is and realize what that is, right? So focusing on that feeling of later is important. And then you'll just, like I mentioned, it's just something you do. And then you always need to plan around that, right? Because once it becomes something you do, then wherever you are or whatever you're doing, it's just going to become part of that. And it's training yourself to do that. And I'll give you an example. One of my clients, she's training herself on having a consistent routine for working out. Remember, we're just picking one thing. And she was going away with her family. And I was like, okay, well, how are you going to incorporate movement when you go away with your family? And she's like, oh, well, I think that we might be able to go to the pool. And I was like, nope, this is not it, right? This is not it, because you are making this a family activity for everybody. And this is just about you. This is your goal, your decision, your feeling. So we're not making this a family activity, because what happens if the family doesn't want to go? What happens when you have to take care of your kid and then you don't get in what you need to do? So we're going to plan backwards. We're going to come prepared. And then if you end up going to the pool with your family, then that's just a bonus. If you go hiking with your family, then that's just a bonus. And you're not worried about what your business is. You just go and enjoy the time with them, and whatever natural movement you get by doing that, then that's what you get, right? So the way we planned it was, first of all, she's taking her workout clothes with her. You need to be prepared. And then she's like, well, I can't take my equipment with me. This is the stuff that your brain starts to do. It starts to throw out all the excuses. It's like, but what about this? But what about that? But what about this? Your brain starts to throw it. So then she started throwing those to me. She's like, oh, but I can't take my equipment. I said, what equipment? You have your whole body. Body weight is great. And we went into the apps and I showed her how to filter and how to find these things. And then she goes, okay, I could do the body weight, right? And then I was like, mind you, you're traveling, so I bet you have some maletas with you. It doesn't matter what it is. You can pick anything up. You can use your own body weight. The point is to stop putting excuses in the way for what you need to do. And then you plan backwards, right? You're like, oh, I need to be here at this time. So let me see how long I need to take a shower. I need to get ready. I need to get my workout in. So I need to wake up at this time if you have something to do that day, right? Because then you are planning and you're making time for what it is that you need to do. And with that comes kind of setting expectations for your family. And if you don't live alone, right? And be like, okay, well, this time, this is what I'm going to do. And then they just start to get used to it. My kids know, like when I wake up, they see me dressed. They're like, Mommy, have fun at the gym. Oh, you're gonna work out? Okay. Right? So they start to get used to it too. And then after a while, it's just what you do, but it's a constant reminder. This morning, I kind of wanted to stay in the bed. I really did. But I gave myself one snooze. I was like, all right, Naomi, you got one snooze and then you're going to get up. Because you know you love this at the end of the day. It's just hard right now. It's just the first 3 minutes. So with my client, I was like, what do you have to tell yourself to get your butt moving in the morning? Because she is the same for her. She's like, oh, after I'm into it, I love it. And she goes, I just have to get up and brush my teeth. That's it. Like if I get up and brush my teeth, I'm good. So that was her thing. She's like, just get up and brush your teeth. Just get up and brush your teeth. and wash her face. That was something else she added. And then that was it. So let's recap. To stay consistent, just take it one step at a time. The long term is right now. The long term is next week. The long term is next month. It's just taking those actions, right? Like, what is your goal? What is your desire? And if your goal is just to maintain your health, then that's a really long-term thing, because that's your whole freaking life, right? Then you have to make a decision. You have choices. What are you going to do? Are you going to go work out, or are you not going to go work out? Are you going to choose the grilled chicken, or are you going to choose the deep fried chicken? Right? You have choices, and then you make your decision. What decision are you going to do? Are you going to take that are in line with your goals? It might not be really what you want to do, but if you connect it to that feeling, when you take that action, when you connect it to that feeling in the long term, then you're going to be thankful that that's the choice that you made, and that's the action that you took in that moment. Because it wasn't, maybe you weren't comfortable with that choice. Maybe that's not really what you wanted to do. Maybe that's not what you're used to. But you're training yourself. You're training yourself to reap the benefits of that future feeling. And once you keep connecting that to that reward at the end of how you're going to feel, I'm not going to feel bloated. My stomach is not going to hurt. I'm not going to get constipated. I'm not going to get the runs. My button is going to close because I'm not bloated. My energy is not going to crash. I'm going to feel stronger. I'm going to have more energy. Then you're like, damn, okay. I'm just going to make this choice right now, because I know it's better for the long term. For me, I like that feeling afterwards. And I promise you, the more you do it in these small steps, the more it's just going to become more natural, and the more it's just going to stick. Because what's also going to happen is that you're going to go back to those other choices that you've done before. And I don't want you to beat yourself up over it. It's totally normal, right? It happens to me too. You're going to go back, and then that feeling afterwards is going to remind you, oh crap, I remember why I didn't do this for so long. I remember why I stopped doing that, or why I didn't do this anymore. Although I used to really like it, I just don't like how it makes me feel anymore. So then you're just gonna naturally not gonna do it, because you don't really do what you don't enjoy, like what you don't like how it makes you feel, whatever. Like, if it doesn't make you feel good, then you're not gonna do it. And then or if you do it, you're gonna be miserable. So those are your choices, right? And those are the decisions you made with the choices you had. And then you took action on that. So I hope that's making sense. I know it's like super long-winded for a question that you might think like, oh, you just do this, right? And this is my interpretation of it. Other people might have other... It's kind of the same thing, right? And it just goes back to like, what are you telling yourself to get there? Like, what's that feeling, what it is that you want to connect to? So I think you need to be intentional about it, right? You can't do that, like what they call like autopilot thing, or just go along with the flow, go along with society. Like, once you start being intentional with what you're doing, with your choices, then that's when things start to turn around and get different, because you're actually making a choice based on what you really want for yourself. I don't know if you remember when you were younger, I do, when people were like, when we were hanging out after work and everybody's like, let's go to this bar, let's go to that bar, and you just followed along with the crowd, and then you're like, I don't even know why I'm here. I don't even like this environment. I don't even like this food. I don't even really like these people. So why are you there? Why are you just following everybody around? And it's the same thing for these things, right? You just need to focus on what it is that you want to do and go along with that instead of worrying about what everybody else is doing. And when you pay attention to how you're feeling before, how you're feeling afterwards, then at least for me, it's easier to make that decision of this is what I'm going to do for myself. Okay? So I hope if you guys have questions, just drop it in here. I hope this was so helpful. I hope it was helpful. I hope it helps you bring more consistency into your life. And if you need support in actually figuring out what this consistency looks for you and how to make these decisions and actions and choices and just somebody to hold your hand as you figure this out and you solidify some of it, as you figure out your feelings, I am here to support you on that. If you're interested, in the link in my bio, there is an area where you can book an appointment and we can chat about my one-on-one coaching. I hope you guys have a wonderful day and thank you for joining. Bye.